Peace, 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 everyone, and welcome. Today, we are building on the topic of does money save relationships? This is coming at a very interesting time. I thought it was the perfect opportunity. I've actually really been wanting to build on this subject for a while. It's something that I believe it's a all too popular paradigm that too many people are buying into. And right now, in this moment in time, it was just announced probably within a couple days ago that the Bezos family, the owners of Amazon, are actually going through a divorce. And the reason why I bring that up with this topic is that if you don't know, Jeff Bezos and the Bezos family is the richest man or richest family in the world. They have assets equating to $137 billion. Just to put that into perspective for you guys, I went to go type it into my cell phone, like the calculator on the iPhone. I had to turn my phone sideways in order for all those zeros to fit. Like I couldn't, it wouldn't show the actual figure. So that's just how much money we're talking about. And what this video is not going to be about is not their specifics on their relationship, which I think is a given, but I just want to share that. Obviously, I don't know the Bezo family. They don't know me, never had a meal together or anything like that. So we're not here, I'm not here to speculate on, their relationship and if he did something or she did something or whatever. What we're building on is the idea and the topic that, does money save relationships? And I also understand that this can be a difficult conversation depending on where you're at in life. Um, I remember being like, I was 12 years old and my dad got super, super sick to the point that he was in the hospital for weeks, over a month. And, through my 12-year-old eyes and my mindset at that time, I didn't know if he was coming home. I didn't know, what the deal was. This was something completely new to me and my family. And, it was in those times that, as you started to look around and even at 12 years old, putting it together that, well, dad, kind of makes a lot of money or makes enough money that, we eat and we live here and, we do all these things. You start to kind of, try to put two and two together like, well, are things going to change? Are we going to be okay? And, in those moments, if you're depending where you're at, like I was saying, money could be a very serious thing. You don't even have to necessarily be in a relationship. It could just be you by yourself trying to get on your feet. And if you're struggling to do that, money does seem like the end all be all, the saving grace. And so obviously, if you're at that point in your life, this conversation is going to be a little bit difficult to understand. But we're just going to build on the fact that the richest man in the world, literally, I saw again, who knows how true it is, but I saw something that said he would have to spend $28 million a day in order to not get richer. I mean, that's just unheard of. It's crazy. It's the richest man in the world, right? And so, they're doing fine. But when you look at the facts, and again, we're not building on their personal relationship and all, what happened. What we're building on is the facts that we know. We know he's the richest man in the world, or if, he's top three or whatever. I don't know I don't follow his life story, but he's up there. I'm pretty sure he's at the top. But he has more than enough money. And again, superficial public information is that him and his wife are getting a divorce. Um, so, like I was saying, we all build, or not all of us, but for I think most of us, we buy into this idea that, and this paradigm, that if our relationships are struggling, that money is going to save us. Because I mean, let's be real. One of the most common arguments that relationships have is over money, and it doesn't even have to be a relationship between like you and your spouse. It could be a single mother, trying to provide for her kids, or a single father trying to provide for his kids. It can be a very difficult situation where you feel obligated or almost like pressured to build more of a financial cushion and that financial freedom, that you're sacrificing a lot of time that you spend with your family or your kids. And that can really become in the moment you feel like you're doing the right thing, but I'm telling you, working as a paramedic and in a city that has some people that are doing really well for themselves, um, at the end of life, man, they're not talking about the trucks that they own and the houses that they own and how much money they have in a 401k or whatever asset class it is. It comes down to like who is it that you have around you, and again, that's not just like picture it and think about it. Like I experience that frequently, and that's been one of those motivational or motivating things for me in my own life. I was experiencing that stuff when I started at the fire department at 20 years old. I was seeing, people that had an abundance of cash but lacked and had a scarcity of loved ones around them. And I'm sure, like I said, if and this is where that conversation is going to get a little hairy if you're on that side of the coin where you're like, no, I could really use money right now. For those people in those moments, they're wishing that they had people. I'm telling you verbatim, I've had people, I wish I did things differently. I wish, I paid more attention to my family and to things like that. Um, of course, not playing into the Bezos family or anything like that. The Bezos family was just the example of an abundance of money and it not buying and saving a relationship. And really, on that subject, last part I'll talk about them is you almost have to feel for them, which again is hard if you're on that, I need money situation. You're like, they don't need any help. They're fine. But, they have kids, and whether the kids know or don't know how much money they have or whatever, they're knowing that or they're seeing that mom and dad are splitting, which is tough, for any family. If you come from a divorced family, I have parents that are married, but I have plenty of friends. I have, people all around me that have grown up in divorced households or blended families, and it can be a very difficult thing. So, um, money is important, and it's important to understand that we need to create balance in our life. And that's where we need to break through this paradigm. This paradigm is built around, if things aren't going well, let me just make more money so I can drive a better car, I can, buy a better house, I can take my family on more vacations, and that's going to make us come together. Of course, those things are powerful tools, they can work, but in the grand scheme of things, it's almost like a band aid. You're just kind of putting something over the real issue because what's more important, especially to, if you have kids or a loved one, a lot of times it's those little things that count, right? We've all heard that time and time again. And having those little things is, having time to share in conversation and to sit down and have a meal together. I mean, how many people or families really sit down and have dinner together? I know for me, when I was having my family, it was top priority. I want us to sit down and we go over questions, we talk to one another. I asked my daughter, what did you learn? And what did you, I'm drawing a blank right now. The big one is what do you learn? Because she goes on like a tangent about what she learned and, all the different aspects to it. It's what did you love about today? And then what did you learn from today? And, yeah, I can't believe I drew a blank on that. I ask it literally every night. But those types of things are important. And so creating that balance of making sure that the intangibles are also intact and also maintaining a priority level in your life, um, is important. And again, I'm using that example of the Bezos family as just raw evidence. You can't fall into that paradigm that money is going to save everything. Another thing that's really important, especially with this situation and this conversation, they built, obviously Jeff Bezos built Amazon, but again, from rumors and public information, they say that his wife was instrumental in helping him and assisting him and providing information or even assistance, through the process. Again, I don't know her role, what she did, but that's what has been shared. And so there's a lot of conversations and people that build and are kind of taken back from this divorce and the announcement of this divorce, because really that's what a lot of married couples and families try to do. They try to build something together, and they obviously did that. They're sorry, outside the wilderness, but they're obviously doing that, and or did that. And so it becomes important, I feel, again, bringing it back to our level and where we're at. I don't know about you. I don't have 137 billion, but to our level, it's important to have these milestones and to have these check marks that you're building and achieving as a family. I know for us, we break it down sometimes all the way to, okay, when do you want to get a new car? All right, let's figure it out. We're gonna do this, and that, and all that stuff, and it just creates this unity within our family that we're all working toward this goal. We make it known. We make it known that that's what we're working toward. This is what we're going to do to achieve it. I'm going to spin around because I think the wind's getting me. So, so something like that. If you have kids or when you go to have kids, are you guys discussing, all right, we need to hit this financial goal and have, these things in place to help us, absorb that change in our life. When I talk to a lot of the clients that I work with, there's a frequent conversation where they're like, this change and or this house that we bought or, whatever it is, it's almost like they're taken by surprise with the change in the financial aspect. Again, one of the most common conversations that we have is, or arguments that we have in relationships is around money. And, when we don't have these parameters and we don't have the conversation beforehand, we're putting ourselves in more of a reactive position than a proactive position where, again, you're just kind of having to now roll with the punches instead of knowing those punches are coming. Of course, life is always going to throw something that you don't know, but the more unison that you have or unity that you have within your family and within your relationships, it makes absorbing those punches and those things that you cannot see a little bit, more doable. You're able to digest them better instead of just kind of, being blindsided from it. So when it comes to, does money save my relationship? I hope that everybody can really understand and absorb what's going on. The richest man in the world is having a divorce. And again, what happened behind scenes, behind closed doors is beyond me. I probably won't ever know. We won't ever know. But for all of those that buy into the paradigm that money will create all happiness and will, let you ride off to the sunset, it's not true. And we have to really work on those intangibles. And that's why, mating, figuring out who it is that you want to grow and build with is so important. What page are you on? How far do you want to take it? Again, speculation. It could be something that they thought, Amazon would build, but never to this scale. And then, I was talking to somebody and they said, well, I'm sure Amazon is Jeff Bezos' wife. Like he's probably spending more time building that empire than spending time with his wife. So again, how far do you want to build things? How are you going to adapt to those changes? Sometimes when things take more time, and like I've shared, time, energy, and resources, those are the things that we have to work and balance in our life. So if he's putting a lot of his energy, or we are putting our energy into, our businesses and our work and all those things, and we don't have time to spend with our kids or with our families, those things are going to suffer. And again, I'm telling you from personal experience, having family and maintaining those things are absolutely important. We get so attached to this idea of what money can buy us and all these cars. And listen, I'm a car guy, and I would love to, have some of those, Porsches. I know you've seen me wearing my Porsche hat. Like I love those cars, but having a family and all those things, it's going to take time. And so, make sure that you're taking the time to really reflect on the communication that you have with your spouse or with your kids. Again, at 12 years old for myself, like I had no idea. I was completely blindsided from the fact that my dad was healthy on Monday, and then Tuesday it was, he's in the hospital. And for your kids, they don't understand probably a lot of what's going on, and so you have to communicate it to them. Try to. Of course, you don't want to create panic for them, but you also want to, create transparency and let them know, hey, this is what's going on. You're going to notice these changes, or, this particular situation, and or we're going to have to now, change this or do this, or my work schedule is going to change, and let them in and let them know, like, hey, if you have questions, like, let me know. Let me know if you have questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Um, it's just so much better when you're able to keep that line of communication open and really build on these ideas instead of just always assuming that oh, more money is going to make it better. I'm going to be able to buy that piece of jewelry for my wife, and that's going to make her fall in love with me again. No, probably grabbing her hand, something simple, grabbing her hand and walking through the mall with her. How long has it been since you've done something like that? Super free, super intangible, right? Super can only come from you, right? So um, think about those things. Challenge yourself and go back to you know what it was like maybe at the start of your relationship, and just some of the things that you may have done, or the way that you interacted with one another, and continue to build on those ideas. This paradigm, like I said, it's just all too popular. Too many divorces are occurring because we are going too heavy on one side, and a lot of times, more often than not, it's on the money side, trying to build this empire, and we forget about our home base. All of that movement, all of that energy that we're putting in, all of that time that we're putting in, what is it for? It's typically for our home, for our families. And so if we're not also putting in time, what is it all for? It's almost like working your entire life, getting to the end, and then just letting all of that currency and all of that stuff that you work for just go back to the government or whatever it is. Have have family as a priority, and keep working toward it. I guess that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, I've been trying to make it for a really long time. I was in that place where years ago, I was just like, I was burning myself out. I was looking at every, opportunity to work. And, you would look at my calendar and it was just completely stacked, like day on day on day. And, a lot of times I'd be in the middle of my work week thinking to myself, like, when I wrote all that stuff down and I thought about all the money I was going to make, it sounded great. Or, in my mind, it was great. But now I'm freaking, I'm sick. I have no time to even like spend any of that money, and so it was a call, it was a message, right, from the universe, like you need to create balance. What's the point in having all of this without having any of that? So please don't buy into that paradigm. Buy into the paradigm that balance is what's important. Buy into the fact that, coming from a paramedic that has seen it firsthand many, many times, people at the end of life wishing that they could turn all that money in and have loved ones around them. And having that bond, it's not something that you can pay for. How many times have you guys heard the story of, like, people only coming around for the money, right, and not really being real friends and all that stuff? And you know it's just, you don't want that. You want true relationships, true bonding and memories, stuff that you can say that you've been through together. Again, you can probably say that this is just my opinion, which I guess at the end of the day it is. But um, I would say that I have a lot of resources, you know, showing that it makes sense. Not many people get to experience that end of life, and how difficult it is. And for the number of times that I've been through it, I guess it's more of like, I'm asking you to take me serious in this, because it's serious. So communicate, with your loved ones, communicate with your kids, communicate with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Look at the facts. We were building on something like that, on that topic, just a couple of days ago. Write down all the factual information about what's going on in your situation, not your emotions. All of those things can be heavily biased, and blur the truth, and blur the facts from the situation. So take time to build on this subject, and to really create a relationship with creating balance, right? It's important. So until next time, guys, I'm Jonathan. I'm going to be signing out. If you want to follow me on social media, it is Facebook forward slash Facebook.com/ JRS Inspires. Instagram and Twitter is at JRS Inspires. My website, you can probably guess it, JRSinspires.com. I have my free ebook on there, which is called A Guide to Working with Mentors. Very important book. Just working with anybody. If you have a boss at work and you're trying to grow as a person, it helps you to learn about that relationship, because even though and sometimes you can really grow from someone even though they're not in a mentoring relationship. It'll help you understand where and how you can pull information and how to maximize the usage of that information. If you're engaged in a mentoring relationship, that's it's perfect. It explains a lot of the stuff. I have personal experience in it. I've been working with mentors for 15 years, and they've completely changed my life. And I've taken all of the information um, that I've learned and put it into that ebook. It's a very quick and easy read for you to get as much information with little time and energy, so that you can then put it to good use. All right. So again, that's a free download. It's also available in audio version on my website, jrsinspires.com. And coming out in the next probably about 6 weeks, I feel like I'm looking at, is my Head Start program. Something that I am extremely, extremely excited about. Working as a firefighter, we are faced with very stressful situations, like I covered in this video. End of life is very difficult, and that's just one piece of it. But learning how to manage stress, I haven't seen any college courses on it. I definitely didn't have any courses in high school or anything like that on learning how to cope, with stress. We're just kind of taught to keep on trucking. And stress and anxiety and all those things is very real. It happens to everyone. I explain it to people like, you're walking down the street and you're picking up pebbles for every little stressful event that you encounter. So if you get into a big fight with your significant other over finances or something like that, it's a pebble in the pocket. You go to work, you're stressed out, pebble in the pocket. Your dog isn't listening or whatever, went to the trash, pebble in the pocket, right? Something, anything. And over time, those pebbles are going to keep adding up, and then eventually it's just going to weigh you down, and it's going to happen to everybody. Everybody has, more or less weight than they can carry. It also depends on situations. So this program is going to help teach us on how to mitigate stress. And of course, we can't ever go for like a stress-free life. Stress is actually very beneficial to us up to a certain point, um, when we know how to channel it and how to manage it. So we're going for more like a stress-controlled life, stress-managed life, so we can escape those very serious health concerns that come with being stressed out constantly. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, all those things, strokes, heart attacks, all those things that come with exposure to chronic stress. So be on the lookout for that. I am extremely excited about it. I've been working on it for a very long time, trying to put together the most useful information to help transform your life, help enlighten you, and bring you to a better place in life, and continue to grow and learn how to mitigate that stress. All right. So officially,